Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome to Tuesday, a night edition of the Final Boss Podcast. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I hope everyone had a great weekend and an early start to this week. Tonight, we're going to be discussing and continuing part three of a series called Who is Behind the Mask. Tonight's movie that we tonight's movie or topic of discussion, hence the mask, is called V for Vendetta. Few people have seen it. Another cult classic, but it's a great movie starring Natalie Portman and Hugo Weaving. Go check it out if you haven't seen it. Um, good movie, man. Good movie, and a lot of parallels that you would see in the movie, like the other movie we just got finished discussing in parts two and parts one. This information in this podcast is for entertainment purposes only. Um, um Sensei is supposed to be joining me. It's hot under this mask. I might take it off, but listen, he's supposed to be joining me, but I'm gonna go ahead and get started, and we're gonna talk about who is behind the mask, and as it's relevant to the parallels of today's reality. Here's a brief overview. The movie focuses on a central narrative of rebellion against a totalitarian regime. And the masked character in the movie, who's the protagonist, symbolizes resistance and, don't let me jack this word up, anonymity. Anonymity. Yeah, I got it. Boom. Um, the mask is called, it's a Guy Fawkes mask. Oh, Guy Fawkes. That's Fawkes mask. If you're interested in purchasing it, it's also synonymous with the group Anonymous, the global group around the world, cyber guys. I'm I, we're not gonna get into that. I'm talking about the movie and what the mask represents, and that's what I'm talking about. So, um, the mask serves as a powerful symbol of anonymity and a collective rebellion. The uh, the idea of the mask and masking one's identity uh, resonates throughout society, and not necessarily wearing an actual mask. I talked about this last week on Sunday's episode. Sunday's episode, which was part two of the series, I talked about wearing different masks, code switching, and how you wear different masks depending on who you're communicating with, and there's an emotional value that is attached to that, and it's different for each conversation that you may be having with a group of various people. So, um, we consciously choose to hide those identities from other people. Is it to protect us? Who knows? Do you think that when you're having a conversation, do you think that when you're having a conversation with the with your supervisor or your coworkers, you think you can have that same conversation with your family? No, that conversation is going to be very different. It's going to be very different. You hide that identity. They don't know nothing about it. They don't. Same thing with the mask in the movie. Um, there's a role in the movie of authority and surveillance, and how the media is utilizing and assisting and collaborating with both. You got to go see the movie, and you'll understand exactly what I'm talking about. It's another dystopian government futuristic movie, and the film exercised extreme control through surveillance, propaganda, and oppression. And we talked about that. We talked about that last week on Sunday. We talked about how there's parallels of suppression from various hmm. We talked about that on Sunday. Very interesting how this is also parallel to that movie and how these echo chambers work. And if you're not familiar with echo chambers, this is a breadcrumb. Go read up on echo chambers, all right? Where your ideas are in line and that's all you hear. The people who are in your circle have your same ideas. The people who you converse with and communicate with, the ones that are close to you, have the same ideas. And it may not be right, and it may not be wrong, but they're your ideas. That's an echo chamber. The media plays on that. You have certain media pushing certain agendas that are aligned with your ideas. Then you have another media that's doing the same thing in line with somebody else's idea. A good percentage of what they're banking on is that you're only going to pay attention to what you and your ideas aren't aligned with. Same thing with the other. Same thing with the other media. But as it relates to the movie, that's what's being pushed. Propaganda and oppression, suppressing, suppressing emotion, suppressing certain ideas. You're not getting the big picture. You're getting 100% of what you believe in, while another channel is pushing the agenda 100% of what another group of people may believe in. Their contemporary concerns about, and we're talking about the movie, and this is entertainment purposes only. Their contemporary concerns about government surveillance and the erosion of civil liberties. We don't have to talk about civil liberties. We see that the idea of free speech ain't all that free anymore. Opinions are eroding. You see that right now. There's an erosion of civil liberties. There's an erosion of opinions. Are there modern equivalents of the oppressive tactics used in the film, such as we talked about this yesterday on Sunday? I'm sorry, I keep saying yesterday. Tracking personal data, online behaviors. This is in the movie. And mind you, this movie is from 2005. A lot of these movies are 20 years or more older. 20 years. That was 2005. And they were already discussing. And this is what we're talking about. What is Hollywood showing us? What is Hollywood already telling us? Are they already using the media? Because they have to tell us. Are they using the media as a platform to tell you what they're going to do? Because if that's the case, that's what they're doing. That's what they're doing. Talking about personal data. Look at how much data is being hacked. Look how much information is being recorded. All these social media sites are keep getting their hands smacked for um, illegally, but I guess it's not illegal to them because it's their platform. We're using it, and I'm quite sure their guidelines say this is what we're going to do, but we don't read that stuff. All we care about is like, hey man, this is social media. I'm going to be famous. I'm gonna get paid for being popular. I'm going to be a social media star. Yeah, there's always something in the background that accompanies that. Nothing is free. If it's free, then you're the product. Remember that. If it's free, you're the product. The regime of Vendetta, V for Vendetta, uses the control media narrative to manipulate public perception. Hmm. Talk about parallels of reality. Who's behind the mask? Who's behind the mask? Who's behind the mask? You ask yourself, how does this connect to the current landscape of misinformation and media manipulation? Hmm. Yeah. Parallels. If you haven't seen the movie, go check it out. It's a really good movie. Check it out. Are there examples of there are examples of social media and news outlets today that influence public opinion, suppress dissenting voices. Listen, people, you see it, but you know what? We close the blind eye. Or the our famous words. Oh, that's a coincidence. Oh, that's a coincidence. Really? How many coincidences are you going to have before you realize that you've been played a fool? How many coincidences? Hmm? Yeah, keep it up. Keep it up with the coincidences. Mike just notified me that he's going to be on shortly, um, so he could join in the conversation. Um, the fight. There's a fight for individual freedoms. There's a fight for individual freedoms in the movie. The fight for individual freedoms in the movie. V, the main character, the protagonist, his quest reflects the struggle of personal and societal freedom against certain oppressive forces. You see people who are silenced all the time. I don't, man, listen. You see people who are silenced all the time, man. We close a blind eye. Oh, they got in trouble for this. Oh, they got in trouble for that. But you don't know the backstory. You don't know what's going on in the background of what that individual did. Somebody has them on tape doing something. There he is. Hey, Sensei.
Hey, hey, hey.
I've been at it for about 13 minutes. I know
Righteous.
I sent you over tonight's talking points, and I just started talking point number 4 to get you abreast and caught up. Talking point number 4, and man, just telling the people how great of a movie this is, and we talked about the mask and the main characters and some of
Pretty impressive.
the agendas and parallels. Would you say?
It is impressive when you actually look at the detail of what they signify in that movie. There's so many subtleties.
So many, absolutely.
So many subtleties.
Hmm.
So how
So
far
how
are we
far
at?
are we at?
Talking point. Where are we at? What point are we at?
So I just started the fourth discussion point,
Got
um,
you.
talking about ways the individuals or groups fighting for freedom and rights today, and how it's parallel to what we see, and how I basically compared it to um, freedoms, societal freedoms are being oppressed.
Right.
Yeah,
And if you don't exercise your freedoms, you don't have any.
And liberties. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. You know, and one of the other things about that same point is that if you don't exercise your freedoms, you don't have them. That's a key point. But another key point is that it's like a grain of sand on a beach. The beach is being eroded, and you fight for one grain of sand to hold that grain of sand. And the problem is, while that's going on, the entire beach is being eroded around you. And the folks that are the people that are causing the problem and creating this adverse environment, they're so well organized and so deeply embedded that it seems like almost impossible to fight against them. But the key fact to remember on that one is, although it seems to be impossible to fight against them, remember that it only takes one candle to light up a whole room.
That's
And
great.
when the
That's a
room is
great
full of
analogy. Yep.
darkness, it only takes one beacon of light.
Mm.
And the evil does not like to be near the light. Evil will run from light. It will run from the truth. Absolutely.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So, you know, societal change happens. It starts at home. You know, it starts with your family. And there was a song back in the 80s by Mike and the Mechanics called Silent Running.
Okay.
And it talked about teach your children quietly, for someday sons and daughters will rise up and fight where we stood still. And that's what you have to do.
Yeah.
You know, you don't be a great blade of grass that sticks your head up too soon, because the lawnmower is going to come by.
Whoops.
So what you do is you lay down low, and when the time comes, then you can stand up. But you got to lay down low, so when the lawnmower goes overhead, and sometimes the wind is going to change directions to make the grass stand up.
Yes, that's correct.
So you got to be careful. You got to be wise enough to see that, to see the patterns.
Mm-hmm.
And when the wind is blowing the other direction, don't just stand up because you think now's the time. Well, you might think now's the time, but here comes a lawnmower.
Right. You got to flow with the grass.
You're going to cut that grass. So you have to remember to be subtle. And the hardest part about when you learn things is learning subtlety and learning that it is better to hide in the open and be right there than it is to try to raise that flag all over the place, all over yourself, and say, this is who I am, this is what I'm doing. All you do is you paint a nice fat target on yourself. Now, I'm not saying that you can't take care of business. I'm just saying you got to be smart about taking care of your business.
Right.
You know, and when you look at a system which is oppressive and a system which is in control of the media and manipulative, the moment they have an opportunity to cancel you, they're going to.
Yep.
So you don't give them a reason to cancel you. Just do your thing. And behind closed doors, you take care of your business. That's how you keep safe. That's how you fight for another day. And you know, you always hear the story constantly out there says, the best thing you could ever do is lay down your life for somebody else. Well, my opinion is a little bit different than that. My opinion is it's better for me to take out 10 or 20 on your behalf. That way I can live for fight another day and you can live to fight another day. No sense in doing a senseless lay down.
Right.
I would rather die on my feet than live on my knees. Yep. But that's the difficult part. When you start being able to wear your sunglasses and you start to be able to see the truth of things.
Right.
Remember in the movie they had to put contact lenses on because otherwise it was obvious that they knew the truth.
Exactly.
So that subtlety in the movie tells you need to be able to hide the fact that you know the truth and still function.
Right.
And still move forward. So when you learn to see things, you have to learn how to also be careful who you talk to. Because there's a thing we call in the motorcycle club is called transitive trust. A trusts B, B trusts C, therefore A trusts C. Now, if anybody in that group breaks the trust, it breaks all of the trust. So this is how you have what's called a grassroots movement.
Mm.
See, it's nothing that's out there with a hierarchy or a structure, because who runs the structures? Certainly not the good guys.
No, we found that
Anytime
out.
right, and anytime you see something that has an organization and a structure and a
Mm-hmm.
rank and a hierarchy, know that that is not a good thing. It might appear beautiful and good on the surface.
Right.
When you get down to the core of it and see who's running the show at the top, you suddenly begin to realize that it's a whole different ball game.
Yeah, somebody's funding it.
So, well, exactly,
Yeah.
absolutely, because
Mhm.
organizations don't stay running on nothing.
No. Nope.
So somebody, you are correct. Somebody's funding it, and once you
Somebody's
find out
funding
who's funding it, you start to see the reality of the truth.
Mm-hmm.
Then you know. We're always, if you want to know what's going on in the world, find it, track the money.
Track the money. Follow the money, people. Follow the money.
Follow the money.
Mm-hmm.
You follow the money, you know what's going on. Absolutely. But yeah, this was a very, very powerful movie, because united, they can't take us all. But the difficulty is that when you believe that you're going to be united, you have to be careful not to be hijacked.
Right.
Because what will happen is if you get big enough and strong enough and you make enough splash, your structure is going to be hijacked. Someone's going to try and take over for their purposes, not yours. And therefore, what's going to happen is that in the movie, what ended up happening? You get infiltrated.
Mm-hmm.
When they were in the warehouse, what happened? They got infiltrated, they got taken out.
Yep.
So that's the problem, you see. You got to be careful what you do. Again, man, you need to read the lyrics to that song, Mike and the Mechanics, Silent Running.
Oh man, I've been having that song on replay all week long, and it's interesting. On the top of the tick, several people are using it in their background. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah.
Back in the day, that was the song that I'd play. This is back in the day when I was a more radical individual. That was my song.
Mm.
Yeah, I'm not so radical anymore. I'm just a wise old man that can pass on the apple seeds and be planted.
That's what we're doing, passing on seeds and breadcrumbs.
Passing on seeds, you know.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I can
showing
give you
parallels. That's it. We just give you information, and it's just for entertainment.
That's right.
I don't know anything.
I say this way: it's still okay. I'm still allowed to have an opinion.
Yes.
Now, many times people are going to call my opinion, they're going to call it a conspiracy theory. And it's not a conspiracy, because what the funny part is, I'm a conspiracy theorist. I identify as I told you so. Because what's happening is many of these quote unquote conspiracy theories are coming out as the truth finally eventually comes out, that they were a lot closer to the truth than they were far from it. And, you know, there's just so many things in the world that there's evidence that's irrefutable evidence that gets discredited. And that we talk about that control of the media will discredit any information that disagrees with the status quo or disagrees with the party line. You know, and I understand that it's a fantastic and beautiful thing to feel that you know, you believe in your country and you want to put your country first, but be careful when you wave that flag too hard, because what's happening is that talking point or that thought process is being hijacked so hard that you're flying under a different banner and you don't even know it.
Yes. Say it again. Say it again.
Be careful.
Yeah.
When someone calls me something that says you're this, no, I am not in a box. I do not live in boxes. I will not live in the box that you call me. You can call me this title, because that puts me in a convenient box with everybody else. I'm not that. I don't live in any boxes. You know, you can't put baby in the corner, man. You know, in Dirty Dancing, you can't put baby in the corner. So, the thing is that be careful about aligning yourself with labels because words have meaning.
Words have meanings. Hey, that was episode number 3. Words have meanings. Yeah.
They do. And when you empower something by giving it a label and a word, then it now becomes you.
Ooh.
Whether you like it or not. So be careful what words you use to identify yourself. Because if you want to be effective, you can't be put in a box. Because what we're dealing with is outside of the boxes.
Absolutely.
So, I might be near that box and I agree with many things that are in that box. I'm just not going to be inside that box because I look at everything. That's that top-down mentality. You see, I look at everything and I try and look at the big picture. And so if you can look at the big picture, you can see all the boxes.
Yeah.
And don't get stuck in one.
Absolutely.
Because when you do, you become ineffective.
Right.
There's an algorithm or theory that talks about that if 1 million people are pissed off about something, okay, then 100,000 want to do something about it. Okay? Once 100,000 want to do something about it, you have 10,000 which actually start talking about doing something about it. Okay? And 1,000 have the ability to do something about it. Now we're down from 1,000 down to 100.
Right.
100 are committed. Now here's what happens where it gets really weird. It gets weird because of those 100 that are committed, who have the ability and want to do something about it to make a difference, yeah, all but 10 of them are distracted.
Right.
Because they get called under these different banners and these different titles, and they get distracted. So therefore, they're ineffective. So now we're down to 10 out of 1 million. Now, of the 10 that aren't distracted, that have the ability, what occurs is you come down to the 1 of 1 million. And what happens if your head's above the grass and you're the 1 in 1 million?
Top goes the weasel.
So this is what the numbers are,
Yes, sir.
Everybody talks all this mess about they're going to make a difference. We're gonna make a change. We're gonna be in the streets and we're gonna do all these things. Yeah, well, that's very effective and very nice. But remember, that's not where true change comes from.
Absolutely.
True change comes from your children and them having the ability to come up and teach their children. And what occurs is they pass the knowledge. Now, once you know the truth and someone else knows the truth, you may have never spoken in your lives to each other. But the moment 2 people come together that know the truth, guess what? It's the same truth. Because there's only one truth.
One truth.
Everything else is a lie.
Yep, absolute. That's it.
So I could never have spoken to someone my entire life. And when we sit down and talk to each other, and I know the truth, and they know the truth, we're talking the same, like we've known each other our whole lives. Because there is only truly one truth.
One truth. Man.
And if you know that truth, you can identify it's not the truth.
Preach, brother, preach.
I'm preaching.
Yes, sir. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I am Turbo, the CEO. I'm the final boss. This is the Final Boss Podcast. That is Big Mike. And Mike, what's your slogan on your shirt? What is it? What's the slogan on your shirt again?
Oh, this one's free. Oh, I got one shirt that says, I'm Mike doing Mike things.
Yeah, that one. Mike doing Mike things. Oh man, I love it.
That's amazing.
Oh man.
Things.
I hope you guys enjoyed it. The show. We just went over briefly about the V for Vendetta movie. Go check it out. It's a really cool movie. A lot of interesting points in the movie. You see a lot of different parallels as it relates to what we see today, societal norms and things that we're being grossly affected by, and how the media is suppressing and using its platform to oppress. It's crazy. Watch out for those echo chambers. You don't know what an echo chamber is, go check it out. But that's our show for tonight. And we'll be back on Sunday and Tuesday, 9 p.m. See you then. Boom.